big year for Shane Beamer and the 2024 South Carolina Gamecocks. Truly feels like a fork in the road type of season for Beamer as he heads into 2024. Now, again, I've mentioned this on social media if you follow me at Mock 10 Sports. I don't think Beamer's coaching for his job here from people I've talked to close to the program. I really don't, unless it just completely goes off the rails here. But I know Ray Tanner, the AD, has told people he has, I'm talking about Shane Beamer, has through 2025. But as you know, a lot of things can change from now until the end of November. Just a lot of movement. A lot of things can factor in from that standpoint. So we got to factor that in. But you signed your supposed future quarterback in Lenore Sellers. He's on campus. You have him. You've had 3 true recruiting classes that you've been there. The core of this team is yours. This is Beamer's program officially now, guys. And we will get to see the fruit of his 4-year labor this upcoming fall. And with that being said, I'm here to give you the 3 biggest what-ifs for the South Carolina Gamecocks heading into 2024. Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel, y'all. I'm your host, Dave Shumate, longtime college football personnel guy, worked in the SEC recruiting, worked in a SEC recruiting department, multiple, if you want to be honest, for 7+ years. I feel like I'm pretty well versed on that perspective now on the media side. But before we get to that segment, we have some bills to pay, guys. We have some bills to pay. And like with every other what if series you've seen, if you've watched them, go visit our guy SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com and use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, I've just moved to Atlanta, going to some Braves games. You probably noticed I don't have the studio with me in the background. We're working on a new one at the new house, dealing with this right now. But I have been going to some Braves games. It's a positive here. We don't have the studio, but we have Braves games. I've been using our guys SeatGeek. They do a phenomenal job, guys. Again, I encourage you. Go use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase here, guys. But back to why you're here, while I'm here. 3 biggest what-ifs for the Gamecocks heading into 2024. First, what if, and South Carolina fans may be like, please, Lord, make this be true. What if the offensive line is a strength of the team in 2024? That'd be crazy, huh, Gamecock fans? From really over the past 3 years, you'd be no way. If there were ever a time, I'm telling you, for this offensive line to have a combination of taking that next step and avoiding the injury bug, it would be this season. It would be the season. It would have to be, you think. Odds would say that. Shane Beamer's been in Columbia. This has been a position, or really since he's been in Columbia, this has been a position that's really bogged down the Carolina team and specifically the offense. I mean, Carolina's had the quarterback play. Spencer Rattler, I thought, had 2 good years, 1 really good year last year. They've had true number 1 type wide receivers in Juice Wells, who was hurt last year, but had a good 2022. Then Xavier Legette ended up getting drafted by the Carolina Panthers, had a big year. So they've had 2 true number 1 guys last year, Juice Wells and Xavier Legette. They've had the quarterback play. They haven't had the offensive line play. It comes down to the offensive line. And if they can take that next step and stay healthy, it should benefit the entire offense. And honestly, they should take that next step. I know injury bugs a little bit out of everybody's hands, but you have Kason Henry, good player. Tree Babalade, left tackle, started a lot last year as a true freshman. Probably reps-wise, experience-wise, probably more of like a junior a little bit. A lot of freshmen don't play as much as he did last year. Good, young, experienced player. Trevon Ball, same mold over there at right guard. Got thrown into the fire, a little baptism by fire, probably earlier than expected, but injuries, maybe that benefits the Gamecocks this year. Ja'Kai Moore, another big piece to this offensive line. He will be vital as well. And Shane Beamer has said it before, and I think it's maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but he feels good about 9 to 10 guys. Now, I don't know about that. But, again, this is as much depth as the Gamecocks have had since he has been in Columbia. There's really no denying that. You go look at the roster overall. They've done a good job of bringing the floor up in the room on really both sides of the line of scrimmage, but specifically here on the offensive line. Add in former Georgia State head coach and former Gamecock offensive line coach under Steve Spurrier. Coach Sean Elliott is back. I know he's the tight ends coach, but he's a run game coordinator as well. That should help improve this group. That will help improve this group. But what if this is a strength? What if this is a strength of that team? Just let that settle in. And then pause for a minute. We're going to go right to the next what if. What if the roles are reversed a little bit this year? What if the offensive line is healthy? They take that next step. They're a strength. but the quarterback play just isn't there like it was with Spencer Rattler. And I don't think anybody's expecting Lenore Sellers to be Spencer Rattler of last year. Because, again, everybody's going to look at South Carolina's record and be like, Spencer Rattler had a really good 2023 season. I thought he was a phenomenal pickup for the Saints. But my next what if for the Gamecocks in 2024, what if Lenore Sellers isn't the guy? Like, just what if he isn't the guy in 2024? And I'm not saying he gets benched, but just like, what if they're lacking at that position? And again, you're not going to win in today's college football, not at a high level, without the most important without a dude at the most important position, not just in football, I think in all of sports. Now, I think a lot of this is going to come down to how Dow Loggins plays to his strengths. He's not a guy that can go back there or sit back there and throw the ball 40-plus times a game like they did with Spencer Rattler. I went and looked it up. In 6 games last year, half of South Carolina's 12 games, Spencer Rattler threw the ball 35 times or more. That's in half of their games, he threw the ball 35 times or more last year, Spencer Rattler. Now, I think some of that had to do with the flow of the game. You get down, you got to play catch-up. I get it. But that's not going to play to Lenore Sellers' strengths. And I think Shane Beamer and Dow Logans are aware of that. But you got to factor him in the run game. You go back and watch the spring, because you hadn't seen him really playing a lot of real action. You just see a little bit of an uncomfortable guy. And that makes sense. He hadn't played a lot of reps. He really hadn't. But he takes his eyes off the field really quick. You can tell he wants to get to that check down real quick just so he gets it out. He's not really getting through progression. So I think that's a fair assessment. What if? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just think it's a what if, just like I'm not necessarily sold South Carolina's offensive line is going to stay healthy or take that next step. It's just a what if. That's what it's for. What if Lenore Sellers isn't the guy in 2024? I think that would maybe, especially if South Carolina doesn't live up to expectations, we'll get to that one right here in a minute. That could speed up the clock on maybe how much longer Shane Beamer is in Columbia. That could be something that you could be talking about. And then finally, the last what if. What if the Gamecocks go 5-7 or worse in 2024? They win 4 or 5 games. What if that happens in 2024? Remember, I said at the beginning of this segment, from talking to people close to the program, I think Ray Tanner, the AD, wants to give Shane Beamer through 2025, through next season. 2 more full football seasons. You go 5-7, 4-8. Lenore Sellers, the supposed future quarterback of your program, is in Columbia, and he just doesn't look like that dude, and you're probably going to have to go get another portal guy next year. Well, what happens then? What happens then? First, before we really did, I want to pull up the schedule. I want to pull it up for you. Again, I don't think it's as daunting as it looks if you look at logos. I mean, Old Dominion, an improved team, that's not an easy first game, but let's give South Carolina the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be healthy on both fronts. They should win this game. At Kentucky, I think this is a make-or-break game for both Kentucky and South Carolina. This is going to be the tone-setting game for both of them. I think South Carolina really needs this one, and so does Kentucky. It's almost a must-win for both teams. One of the more must-win games in the conference. LSU at home, Akron at home, bye week. Ole Miss at home, at Alabama, at Oklahoma, bye week. Texas A&M at home, at Vanderbilt, Missouri at home, Wofford at home, and then finish up the year at Clemson. Yeah, it's not overly tough. I mean, it's got some logos. You got LSU, Ole Miss going to be good this year. Bama, Oklahoma, A&M, Missouri's going to be good this year. That's a game Shane Beamer has never won. Battle of the Mayor's Cup. And then at Clemson. I mean, Oklahoma could be a swing game. How good is that? LSU could be a swing game. Kentucky, there's a couple of them that could go either way. But it's not out of the realm to think Kentucky ends up being an 8-9 win team. South Carolina drops that one, loses to LSU the next week. They're 0-2 in conference play. In today's world, kids start checking out a little bit earlier at times. If you start off 0-2 in SEC, but what does that look like? What does that look like? I mean, what does this team look like? Then your next conference game is in 3 weeks against Ole Miss. You're not going to be favored in that. Then at Alabama, it could get off the rails real quick, and that's what I'm saying. What happens? Let's get out of here again. What happens? What happens if they only win 4 or 5 games? If it's 5, I think Beamer gets another year, especially if the Norris Sellers looks like he's settling in towards the end of the year. He looks like you could still build something off him. But I think he's going to have to replace both coordinators probably. And Dow Loggins and Clayton White. We'll talk about Clayton White here in just a minute. I think you're going to have to replace both those coordinators and some assistants. And let's be honest, if you're going into your last year, factor this in. How many quality coaches are going to leave their current spot to come coach for Shane Beamer in South Carolina in maybe a 1-year perceived contract type year, like for him? Like he's got 1 more year left. Who's going to go leave? Unless you have to, unless you're unemployed or you have to go take that next job. I did this once in my career. I left Auburn and went with Kevin Sumlin his last year in 17 at Texas A&M. It was kind of like a dead man walking kind of feel, especially when we blew that lead against UCLA to open up the season. It kind of felt like that. I can imagine that's what it would feel like if Beamer only wins 5 this year, comes back. It's going to be tough to hire quality coaches. You know what I mean? And if it's 5 and they're close losses, similar to what Arkansas did last year and a lot of their close losses to LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, like that, I think he's probably going to get another year. 4, if he only wins 4, that's what I kind of mean getting off the track there. The train's going off the rails there. That's what I'm kind of meaning when I mentioned that earlier. That means you probably lost to Kentucky to open up conference play, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama. You're 0-4, man. How much buy-in's left? That's what I'm saying. And again, I'm not trying to paint a very bad picture for Gamecock fans here. This is a what-if segment. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying what if. But I think that's what would happen. He'd have to make some coordinator changes. But I think 5 wins, he's back. 4, Ray Tanner's probably got a lot of pressure on him. And Gamecocks, before you start booing me, the Dave Chappelle boo this man, you may have noticed I didn't mention the defense. I mentioned Clayton White. I didn't mention the defense. I do think Clayton White's unit is going to be very improved. I think it's going to be as deep as a defensive line unit as they have, and maybe one of the top units in the league, defensive line. I think TJ Sanders, one of the more underrated defensive tackles in the country, got Tonka Hemingway's a big guy out there. And the most important thing in this unit, like I mentioned, is depth. It's deeper than they've been in so long. This is one of the better units, probably one of the more underrated units in the entire conference, in all positions. And I'll say across the board on defense, like in Shane Beamer's first year, probably even last year, if they had an inside linebacker get hurt, they were done. They were screwed. They were one injury inside linebacker these last 2 years from just being totally depleted at that position. The defense, I think Clayton White's D is going to give them a chance every week if they can figure out the 2 corner spots, the right corner and left corner. If they can figure that out, get more consistent play out of that, the South Carolina defense is going to give them a chance week in, week out, because I think that front's going to be so strong. So that's why I didn't say what if, because I don't think there's much of a what if with the South Carolina defense. I expect them to be pretty good. And like I said, give them a chance every week. My big what ifs is, going back to it. So my biggest what ifs for South Carolina heading in, the big 3, what if the offensive line is a strength of the team in 2024? If there was ever a year, it should be this year. Second, though, what if we go opposite? I mean, again, we've had Spencer Rattler doing his thing, playing well. Offensive line hadn't lived up to expectations. What if we go opposite? What if the offensive line's playing well, but the quarterback play's not there? What if Lenore Sellers isn't the guy in 2024? That is my second what if for the Gamecocks in 2024. Then third, what if the Gamecocks go 4-8, 5-7? And Shane Beamer and them only win 4 games, 5 games. Season gets off the track real fast. You start off 0-4, losing to Kentucky, like I mentioned, LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Alabama. It's not far-fetched, guys. It's what if. I know in the comments there's probably going to be some people being like, man, this guy's really down on us. I mean, Phil Steele is real high on us. I think I know some people pretty close to this program. I know how they feel. They feel really good about the defense, have some major question marks on offense, and I think that's fair. But that'll do it for me, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bells. You do not want to miss any of the content we have coming at you, especially this upcoming fall with football season here at the SEC Unfiltered platform. Until next time, guys, I'm your host, Dave Shumate. Let's have a day.